Here's a few analogies of other sports that should make sense. I think so often we're confused in wrestling. So what happens is we have technique and moves just like a gymnast does or an Olympic diver, right? You know your balance beam moves and all your techniques, and then you go into the competition and you can do your balance beam routine and you can win Olympic medals doing that. So in wrestling, we drill moves. We have our techniques and moves, or you could even say your drills and techniques and routines from, say, a front headlock position. Well, when you go to the wrestling tournament, no one cares. You have to score under live conditions. So, sure, if you could go do your drills and show how good you are at your moves, wrestling would be a much easier sport. But we can only score in live conditions. So wrestling turns into a sign of an ugly, messy sport at times. Just imagine being a gymnast and someone double-legging you on the beam or pulling on your wrist or hitting you in the back of the head or circling or shaking the balance beam or moving the landing pad right before you dismount and you had to adjust so that you hit the landing pad. Wrestling drilling is similar to a gymnastics practice, but yet in competition they're completely different. A wrestler is much more like a tennis player. You don't have a clue what's going to happen. You have to figure the sport out as it goes. And in wrestling, coaches and kids and athletes who try to figure it out before by writing a script and saying, this is the 5 moves you need to focus on. Your opponent's going to do this. You need to be very aware of that. No, you're screwing them all up. Wrestling's a sport where there's no control. You have to give up. Just like a tennis player says, hit the ball, I'm going to hit it back. Let's go. Sure, a tennis player might have a game plan. A wrestler might have a game plan based upon if you know this wrestler, or let's pretend a certain wrestler, you don't know him, but they're 6'2". You might have an idea of how you approach a match versus a very tall wrestler. So a rough, loose game plan. A wrestler is kind of like a quarterback also. A play is called, they snap the ball, the whole thing falls apart, and the football quarterback has to figure it out as he goes. So giving up control is key. Giving up control and saying, I'm going to try to score points, and I'm going to let the match happen on its own, and I'm just going to always try to score points and make my adjustments during the match. I'll stalemate when I need to. I'm going to figure the match out as I go, right? So it's like jumping out of an airplane and making a parachute on the way down. You're much more like a tennis player than a gymnast. But I think too often in wrestling, we don't understand that. There's some great advice. Hopefully it helps you guys. You can check us out at purlerwrestling.com. And we wish you guys tremendous success.